Is going on with the guys? We are back with episode 74 of Stats Over Politics. Once again, this is Kevin Dent doing his best to fill in for Shaun Hoko. We are joined by Toddy, and we have our guy Garry on the NBA podcast for the first time this week or this season. So Garry, I'm gonna swing it to you first, man. How you doing today?
Chilling. Happy Friday to my guys. It's NBA Friday. Glad I got a day off to make it in time for the pod this week. I'm excited to get some NBA cooking. Let's go.
Hell yeah. We're happy to have you here. Toddy, how you doing today, brother?
Parlay pending.
All right. Let us know what it's doing. Let us know what it's doing.
Not looking good right now. Dallas Stars are down 4-3 with 2 minutes left. So if you can tell by my facial expressions, in the next 2 minutes and 39 seconds aren't. And if it's just, then we lost. So
we know.
It's a good game right now for Florida.
We have what do we have? We have the Spurs on there, and the Spurs shellacked the Hornets. And then we have the Jazz on there. Jazz are up 10 last time I checked. And then we have the Dallas Stars on there. So we're trying, But the hotline is coming this week. I sent it to Kevin prior to the show, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, man. Toddy is literally giving away free money. If you guys don't want money, I understand. But for those of you that do bet, like Toddy says, you degenerate bettors. Toddy is the person you guys need to be in contact with. So Toddy,
you might as well get Toddy's number for that point.
Hey man, Toddy is giving money, man. What's the updated record on Vonny's hotline?
23 and 13.
Hey man, that's the record. Yeah. So Toddy, I'm going to swing it to you first. What do you have for this week in the NBA?
This week in the NBA is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This guy is averaging north of 30 points. And Kevin, I want you to put this on the little whiteboard because Shaun isn't here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to win the MVP. I'm just going to put that out there right now. I think the way that the Thunder have been playing, given their status, where they're at. Now they're second or the third currently right now on the 3-game win streak. They're 26-11. They're 2 games back. They're a game, I think, back on they're tied basically with Timberwolves right now. And this is pre-All-Star game. This is trade deadline. I'm calling Thunder. I'll say that I don't know if the Thunder get the number 1 seed. But I feel like even right now, if Shai keeps playing the way that he's playing and they get like the 1 or 2 seed, he's probably going to win MVP. Just based on his numbers, what he's been doing. It's unprecedented. I got to give a shout out to the Thunder. I think the Thunder, what they only really have to look for is maybe another big, but they don't really have to make a whole lot of moves at the trade deadline. You're seeing a whole bunch of teams, wondering the buyers, the sellers, how can they get better? The Kings, maybe they have to make some moves currently. And there are some other teams, too, that people were saying, they're just a piece away. Right now, I don't really see too much that the Thunder don't need. I feel like they're one of the top teams in scoring, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage in the NBA. So, Chet's looking like he's probably going to win Rookie of the Year, as I keep praising Kevin time and time again on this podcast, as he called it, even when Wemby was drafted, that he's still going to win Rookie of the Year. So you guys should have bought in when Kev spoke on this podcast. But just the Thunder have just been playing immaculately. And even you could even argue the third fiddle, Jalen Williams, could be a number 2 scoring option on another team. He's been averaging about 18 points a game. And
I think Giddy sparked up good, didn't he?
Giddy's he's there.
I seen another game. I seen on IG that he had a good solid game.
He's there, but I don't really.
He hasn't been consistent.
Yeah, Ty's not a Giddy fan, Garry.
I know that. I'm talking about basketball. I ain't talking about nothing else.
He's not really a guy that's gonna score for you. I feel like the 2 main scoring options on his team is obviously Shai, and I think Chet has kind of been the number 2 guy. But Jalen Williams has proved that he can probably be the number 2 guy. Like him and Chet can damn near rotate as far as number 2 guys, but Jalen will probably be the number 3 just based off where Chet was drafted. They want Chet to damn near be number 1A and 1B when it comes to Shai, and that's kind of what they're looking at him as. So I'm going to say the Thunder and Shai is my this week in the NBA based off of how he's been playing. And if they do keep playing like this, they're probably going to win. Or Shea's probably going to win the MVP. And the parlay is cooked. Just want to point that out. It's done. We're cooked, by the way. Not even 10 minutes.
Late tomorrow.
Man, not even
10 minutes in. We're cooked already. So thank you, Stars, for ruining it.
There's still some live betting. There's still some live bets, man, going on.
Yeah, man.
During the pod.
As long as you didn't bet on the Kings today, man.
Did not.
So for my this week in the NBA, like I just mentioned, the Sacramento Kings, I have to show some love because Toddy showed me a lot of appreciation for my early pick. Well, Toddy called it early. He said for one of his breakout players was going to be Keegan Murray. And Keegan Murray's last 2 games, these games do not count the 76ers game because that game obviously was before the podcast, before my notes. So coming into this against the Hornets and the Pistons, he's averaging 29 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 8 made threes between the 2 games. So Keegan Murray is showing that maybe, the Kings don't need the Pascal Siakam trade. They can maybe just develop Keegan and see what he can do. Yeah. Also, Domantas Sabonis, most consecutive seasons with 12 rebounds and 5 assists. Can you guys name the other 4 guys on this list? Just random thoughts throughout NBA history.
Russell Westbrook.
Well, these are big men. Hold on. These are big men.
Okay, big.
Who did what, double-doubles?
No, just 12 rebounds and 5 assists, consecutive seasons.
Ooh.
There are 4 other guys on this list. And
Shaq?
one guy still plays, 2 guys are retired.
Oh, obviously we got us Mr. Our MVP Joker. I'm assuming so.
Joker.
Joker
Single?
not getting that. Embiid? Damn, who's cooking up assists like that right now?
You didn't say KG, Kevin Garnett.
KG is one of them. He had 4 consecutive seasons from 2001 to 2005.
How many more do we need? 3 more?
2 more.
3 more. Or 2 more. 2 more.
Oh, 3 more.
Sabonis?
Sabonis is on there. So I'll give it to you guys. We have Wilt Chamberlain with 3 consecutive seasons from 1965 to 1968. And then Giannis from 2018 to 2020, which is a shocker to me. So I totally forgot
I was
about that.
thinking post-up guys.
But when you think about that, I obviously look that way too. But he is the 5th player in NBA history to drop 35 points in a triple-double, shooting 75% from the field. So Domantas Sabonis is doing his thing. He is second to big men with 9 to Joker's 11. And he has those triple-doubles. And he has 5 triple-doubles out of his last 6 games. So Domantas Sabonis, I have to come on here and give him credit. And this last guy, I've been giving him shit. Every time I hear about him, I was giving Toddy shit for him. Bradley Beal versus the Lakers this week. 37 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. Everyone saw the highlight of the 4 in-and-out dribbles and breaking down Austin Reeves. But his last 5 games, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He's shooting 51% from the field, 43 from 3, and 89% from the field, though. So Bradley Beal is now healthy. So now we finally get to see this Phoenix Suns team at full depth. Unfortunately, they had a 2-2 split in those 5 games. So they're not on the winning side. But at this point, I believe that Frank Vogel, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal are just happy to have him back on the court. Just have him up and down. He's been on the sideline a lot. You guys committed all this to KD.
So much shit about Brad all year.
That's what I'm saying. I had to show him some love. But, he doesn't really play. So
Sean's prediction looked right last night. Mr. KD's going to be the 3rd option.
It's the dad.
Well, that was more of a rest night for KD. Let me just relax.
100%.
These 2 boys is cooking.
You can definitely tell it was a rest night. So we are going to move on.
I got something. Hold on. I know I told you before. I don't got nothing. Hold on. I just thought of something, kid. I'm on hit my dome all of a sudden when y'all heard y'all cooking over here. This week in the NBA, I ain't got no particular players or anything I want to highlight, but I do want, since by the time you guys come on next Friday, I guarantee it's probably going to be about hella trades because Monday opens up the deadline. So I think this is the week in the NBA is when things, I'm assuming we're getting cooking under the crock pot and people are probably lowballing this week. But next week, when the 15th, when everyone's available to be traded, like we've been hearing the Lakers being involved in a lot of trades, any players that were signed this offseason now are eligible this Monday. So now I seen you guys probably got the ESPN notification as well. Probably you guys send it in the chat. Haven't had time to look, but you already know Lakers and the Hawks are engaged. So I think this week in the NBA, we haven't heard it just yet, but everything has been on the table of now how teams need to get improved because at this point, it's 30, 40 games in now, 30-something games, 34, about 40 games in now, if you go by the Celtics record in 29-9. And yeah, this is you got what your team is. So if you're looking at your team and they're about 500 and you don't see anybody coming off the horizon, so like the Lakers in this situation have been healthy with their stars. So there's nothing like Suns. I feel like maybe could wait. Obviously, kind of have to wait because Beal's on the sideline, so they have to wait. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of things shake up this week. That was really cooking this week, and next week's going to come to fruition. So let's see what happens.
So before we move up to the next topic, like we do every show, we got to show Uncle Manny some love, always being active in the comments. Hope the Kings make a move. Have a great show. We appreciate you, Uncle Manny. And like every time I'm the host, I'm going to have to throw a little bit of shade because you are a Cowgirl fan. But Uncle Manny, let us know in the comments what kind of move you think the Kings should make, and we will talk about it. So, Gary, I'm going to swing it to you next. What are your thoughts on Draymond Green ramping up for return after his indefinite suspension, only missing 12 games? What are your thoughts?
Wait, so he's not suspended anymore?
No. Yes, not, bro. He's out there running suicides like Coach Carter.
Yeah. I think that well, I watched Draymond's interview. I'm obviously, talking all as fans of the basketball. So I obviously watched Draymond Green's podcast that came out on his new, I'm assuming, YouTube show, because I think I seen like the subscribers are down or something. So I'm assuming they're doing the whole new thing of volume, getting multiple YouTube shows. So that's cool to see him start off new. But I mean, at this point, like he said what he said, man. And he said, but basically the proof's going to be in the pudding. You can't change leopard skin or however he put it, basically. In that case, that he's going to have to just show up and not get into any nonsense that he knows. Like he even said, not get into any extracurricular activities on the court that's going to get him suspended. Now, is that going to bring the fire out of him and going to stop him from being competitive and, the Draymond Green we know and getting technicals, I'm assuming? I don't think that's going to stop, nor I don't think that should stop, because they kind of need a little uplifting, a boosting right now if you've been watching the Warriors lately, because they've been kind of down and out, just losing game after game. I think tonight they might have won. I believe so. I looked earlier. I think they won tonight.
They were balling out.
They're balling out with 140, scored 140 on the Chicago Bulls, who have their own personal turmoil, but Zach LaVine's back over there, so we'll see how they row the boat coming here. But I really think that Draymond Green, I hope he changed, man. I ain't gonna lie. I know as Kings fans, we're indifferent with Draymond, and basically I feel like Draymond's that player that if you know him or if you're on a Warriors fan or you're anything like that, you love him. But if you're not on his team, you hate him because, he's caused you pain as a competitor, and that's just the fan in you. But just for him that he talked about in his podcast, just getting some peace of mind and, just trying to figure out no ways to grow and learn. And at the end of the day, in life, you're like just off the basketball court. I'm assuming he's talking. You're always a student in life, so he's always going to have to keep growing, and those things are going to have to compliment him on the court. So he's at a part of his life, man. Like he talked about retiring, and I've seen all the jokes. Like Draymond Green is pulling this card, that card, and things of that nature. I don't know about none of that. I just hope the man goes off like he says. Like Steve Kerr basically explained to him, which was go off in the right way. You're a Hall of Famer. You did a lot for this team. You did a lot for people like me and you guys watching the NBA the last 10 years. Been a big part of it. Just go out the right way. And, yeah, it's simple as that. You can make all the jokes you can, but he still can show off those rings. But at the same time, you just want to go out, obviously go out with also respect and dignity, because you don't want players saying we don't know what's wrong with him. He's crazy. I don't want to play. Other players are saying post-game interview. So I think that's the main thing. I think he should go out the right way, and hopefully he does, because – you don't want to be tainted, man. You know what I'm saying? Half he wants to become a coach, or he's already really good at talking, so I'm pretty sure that's gonna stop him from getting on TV. But maybe if he wants to become a coach or anything like that one day, you don't want to taint those relationships. So hopefully he can go out the right way. And yeah, I think that's what he's gonna do.
So before I swing it to you, Vonny, I just want to get this off my chest. I have had multiple conversations about this, just how I thought of Draymond Green and what his current return looks like. I'm so over Draymond Green. I really wish Adam Silver would have been like, look, bro, you want to retire? Here's the door. Go on. Just get up out of here. Because you got to think you. Do they? They're really bad as it is. Draymond Green's not the piece that's going to come and make them a contender. And it's for him to even consider retirement after last year, you kicking out Jordan Poole so you can get your money, and now you want to get retired. You just want that guaranteed money. You're just going to sit back. We can't retire with
3 years left.
That's what I'm saying. Wow. I know he wasn't serious, but for him to even be the narrative that he was thinking of it, and then he talks about him and Steve Kerr, like Garry mentioned in his podcast, them crying together and boo-hooing, and Steph Curry letting him know how much they need him. at this point, like Toddy and I have talked about it on recent podcasts, like the Warriors are in this weird gray area. Like you have Steph Curry in his prime. You have to make a move to either ship him out and rebuild your team or figure out a way to rebuild the team as it is. As currently constructed, this team is not really going to be able to contend. With Draymond out, they were a bottom 10 defense. So, yes, Draymond brings the defensive atmosphere. He's the playmaker, A, B, C, and D. But his antics are just too much at this point because I guarantee you if someone did something that he did to somebody to him, it'd be World War III. He'd go out there punching and swinging on dude. If someone would have choked him like he did Rudy, he's like this, throwing haymakers. Like, He wants to show off this narrative like it's just competitive, and when he's in this mode, he just sees red. But these are your co-workers, dude. Like, this is a business. Like, if he was not a Warriors player, I think he would have been kicked out of the NBA. But because of the magnitude of Draymond Green and what we've seen him do, like Garry said, he has a championship, he has the DPOY, he's an all-star, A, B, C, and D. So his reputation is really keeping him going. But we don't need that in the NBA at all. Like Nurkic said, like, I'm just happy you didn't choke me. Like, for that to be what you say, and an ex-teammate of Kevin Durant to say, yeah, that man just needs help. Like, that's someone who was in the trenches with you for 3 years.
He wasn't doing that when I was there.
Man, he said it in a serious way, though. Like, he cared about him, I'm not going to lie. You heard him in the podcast, too. He was mad about that, too, the way he came out. Then he was like, you know what? I think he said, I'm hearing it the way he's hearing. I think he's actually noticing, like, Kev, I think you're holding him accountable. I think you're right there on the money. You're holding him accountable. Like, stop the bullshit. Just stop. You know what I'm saying? So, but you're calling him out on his bullshit in a way. So, I don't think he would disagree with that either. Like, you know what I'm saying?
All Kings fans hate Draymond. Of course they do. They're supposed to hate.
Because it's like, not even just being a Kings fan, bro. Like, just looking at it from a 2020 vision, he could have broken Sabonis' ribs. You know what I'm saying? His heart could have stopped. Like, he's choking Rudy. He could have broken Adam's apple. Like, there's so many things that if he chokes him for 2 more seconds or steps on Sabonis a little bit harder, these are assault charges. Like, you ain't supposed to do this on the basketball.
You're right.
So, I mean, like, he's been drawing the line really close, bro. And it's going to take someone to get seriously hurt for us to look at it as not him being a competitor and him just being an asshole. So, he's literally one more. Like, how long are we going to let this go on? Is my biggest deal because you say indefinite suspension. We think he's done for the year. 12 games ago, he did a Ja Morant little rehab jump for 2 days, and now he's good to go.
But was no good time or bad time though. Like, you know, how are you going to engage? Half you would have done a year. Then people were like, you went too long. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never know.
Then don't say indefinite. Just say he's suspended. Don't just say he suspended it, and we will figure out a number. Just give us a number. Don't say indefinite because. But
did you watch Adam Silver said that? Kev, he said, I might have cut you off, but he said that he said he didn't want to do indefinite because he didn't want to make it about a number. He wanted to make it about see, that's why I think that I agree with you, Kev. You're on the whole, let's punish him, right? I know I agree with what you're saying, and a lot of people are agreeing with you. I understand that, but I think there's 2 different conversations happening here. Some people are saying, let's punish him, when Adam Silver and them, which tend to be on the player side, tend to be more nice, have been saying, let's make him learn from his mistake. Let's help him grow. They're not really trying to give him a punishment. They're basically like, we don't want this to happen again. Take your time, how long you need. Do you think you're going to be ready? And that's what I guess came down to. But I know what you're saying. You felt like this should have been back in the day, David Stern probably would have gave a severe punishment. You know what I'm saying? I think players would have agreed with that. So I think I know what you're saying for sure. I know what you're saying. I just don't think they came across like that.
Before I explain it to you, Toddy, Uncle Manny, if any of us did what Draymond did at work, we would be in jail. And that is serious. Like Garry said, like, we don't want this to happen anymore. This is his 8th, 9th strike. What has he shown you in recent history that this is not going to happen again? Is it going to take someone to get seriously
montage is
injured?
a little bit crazy.
The montage
it's like 3 minutes
long.
I think Draymond would admit the montage is a little crazy, man. I think he would admit that too.
You got like a 3-minute montage. It's a highlight tape.
Before I move it on to you, we have to address the elephant in the room. The Timberwolves fan has arrived. Timberwolves 116-83 over the Blazers.
I should have took them in the spread, Wes.
You beat a team that has lost 5 games by 60 points. My wife is a Blazer fan. That's the only reason why that wasn't a this week in the NBA, but that's not something you really want to crowd around with, Wes. But we lost to them, so what does that mean with us? So, Toddy, I'm going to swing it to you next. What are your thoughts on Draymond Green ramping up to play, to return from suspension?
So I guess his suspension has been lifted and he's just conditioning to get back in shape, I guess. So,
Yep.
I mean, he's not going to help Steph Curry with scoring, so I don't know what he's really going to help out with. I mean, this team is already they won tonight against Chicago, but they're
Make
still
it easier.
Easier in what way? Is he going to be able to score 25 a night?
No, but you know what I'm talking about, Von. Like, he's going to set him up with the whole pick and roll action, the splits, you know what I'm saying? But how Draymond's been doing his whole career
Maybe he
game,
might be able to help
easy
with,
shots.
handling the ball a little bit, but that's it. But I mean,
it's point forward rules like he usually is.
Going to be, one of the bottom teams in the West, even if he does come back. Yeah, I think this team is kind of leaning towards what we saw Shams Charania tweet. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. It's basically Steph Curry is the only unavailable player. And he could go.
Should be right now.
He could go. Anybody not named Wardell Stephen Curry is not available or is available on this team. So, I mean, the Warriors just need help. I saw them that they're interested in Pascal. They should be interested in any and everybody they can get their hands on.
Who's not
right now?
In Pascal?
This team is they can't score. That's really what I'm going to keep going back to the pregame show that Kevin and I had along with Sister Alex on the show for the pregame NBA show. And I said, how the hell is this team going to score besides Stephen Curry? And that's pretty much what it came down to. Now, the first couple of games, I'd say the first 10 games, they look like they're one of the best teams in the NBA. And I didn't know how. But I was like, I don't know if this is going to be sustainable. Like, how sustainable can this be if he's not getting another guy that's going to be able to score 20 points besides Dario Saric? And that's kind of what it's been. And, you have the Draymond stuff. You got Kuminga coming out saying, fuck that, this is bullshit. I ain't playing in enough minutes and this, that, and the third. And the next game he plays 30 minutes. And I think we saw Moses Moody isn't happy with his minutes. So, the rotation is still trying to get figured out. And we're, almost a fourth of the way through the season. And, it's not looking good for them. So, I mean, Draymond Green's going to come back, but how much of a help? Can he score 25 a night? Help Steph Curry out. Can he do that? I think we all know the answer is no. So this Warriors team needs a lot more than just Draymond Green ramping up to come back. I get it. Can Klay Thompson just shake off the rust and just at least be able to give me 18 a night? Can they? Or I don't even know. He might be averaging around that right now. But Klay is a shell of himself. I think we can all agree on that. Whether that's just him having a bad season or he's just not what he once was. And, Steve Kerr's going at, opposing. This is just what a dynasty looks like when it's all starting to kind of crumble. They have their 4-ring run. You got Kerr calling out other people on the team, screaming at other players, Draymond, getting suspended, but he was getting suspended anyway.
Klay got 30 today.
Okay, yeah, see? Can he consistently do that for me? No. I don't see that happening.
Hasn't showed it yet.
And even his contract talks just came to a screeching halt as reports came out about that because he wants max money. And I don't think the Warriors are willing to give him that.
I don't think anybody in the NBA is willing to do that, not to cut you off.
Yeah, it's a tough deal currently right now. So the Warriors need a lot more than Draymond ramping up for his return. So I don't know if that's going to help them in the long run. They need all hands on deck pretty much. So. Besides Steph Curry, I feel like there's nothing really special about this team.
Yeah, and before we move on, talking about Moses Moody and Kuminga being upset, Steve Kerr went out and said, I played 15 seasons in the NBA, and all 15 years I didn't like my minutes. So, going from there. But before we move on, Uncle Manny gave us the trade the Kings should make. For the audio and listeners, a move like getting Jeremy Grant from Portland would be great. So, Gary, let's get to you first. What are your thoughts on the Kings' interest in trying to go get a Jeremy Grant from Portland?
What he gonna do?
I don't know about Jeremy Grant. I think the Kings got a lot of stuff to fix internally. Not internally. I meant we got the players internally to fix what we have. Like today's showing out versus Philadelphia 76ers versus Joel Embiid being missing was obviously disappointing as a Kings fan. I'm saying we got to come out stronger and harder than that, especially not even scoring 100 points. So that was a tough blow today. In terms of moves being made, it's hard for me to say we need to move just because I feel like that last year we have the same team And, we were basically one magical game away from making the second round, you know what I'm saying? And it was our first year cracking the gate. So I feel like either way, we can make a small move like they've been mentioning and swirling reports about, just adding a small player here and there, adding a big man or something like that, or add another wing person just from any a small trade, or even if we do a big trade, I just feel like we just have anyone you want to put in there. I'm just saying there's been one big move to make for the Sacramento Kings to, hit the next gear, and we got to make sure we hit a home run on that. And I think that everyone would agree with that. Simple as I think the Kings fancy, I feel like everyone in the organization probably sees it. Like you're one move away in terms of, just like if you want to do a one big splash move, you're probably one way because everyone's going to be getting paid after that. So if you don't want to do that, then you can still chip away because we're still a young team with a lot of young pieces who are probably, all the people that are getting mentioned right now, like Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, and things of that nature, are not playing good right now, but they have had stretches in this season where they look good. So I'm not really jumping off, and I'm not going too crazy on our Kings just yet. I just feel like it's ups and downs this season. We're still a top 5 seed right now, even after Tay's loss. We're still handling business. Like the other day, we handled business on the back-to-back versus the Hornets, and I forgot who was on Monday, the first team. But I feel like, we're still handling business the team's supposed to be. But obviously, to beat the great teams, we got to do a much better end on both sides of the ball, especially on defense.
Definitely. Howdy, what were your thoughts on Uncle Manny's comments saying that the Kings should go get a Jeremy Grant?
I've been banging the table on this since last year before.
Here we go.
Kyle Kuzma, why not, man? He's averaging what, like 24 games?
25.
25? Now, I don't know if he'll average 25 a game when he comes over to the Kings, but those are good numbers.
He's going to like his role.
We saw what he looked like on a championship team. Third option. Won a ring. So he's got, Garry mentioned, he's like, we need another ring guy. Kyle Kuzma's a ring guy. Is he not? Am I tripping? I think he can be able to help you guys out a little bit. Jeremy Grant, I don't know, man. I feel like he's kind of overrated. Got the bag in, I thought his best years were OKC, and then he ended up getting the bag in Detroit.
Nuggets?
Nuggets.
He actually was they traded him. They did trade him.
And then
I think he went to go get a bag. Yeah.
So Jeremy Grant, I don't know. I feel like Kuzma would be better for you guys than a Jeremy Grant or Siakam. Obviously, you guys were the leaders in the clubhouse, but then all of a sudden they were like, "We want Keegan Murray," and they were like,
I'm saying, like Keegan mentioned, Keegan might, step. He's not.
Kevin,
he's great in spurts, but he could, jump up to the next level. He's gonna give him time. We don't know. We're not like a mixed situation right now, Kev.
Kevin proposed a trade in the group chat earlier. I think Kuzma was a part of it. Can you give us the
Uncle Manny. Picture this, Uncle Manny. Davion Mitchell, Kevin Huerter, Davion Mitchell, first and a second. Oh, Harrison Barnes, excuse me. So hold on. Harrison Barnes, Davion Mitchell, Kevin Huerter, a first and a second for Tyus Jones, the best backup point guard in the NBA, and Kyle Kuzma. That is a trade where I hit the group chat. I said, where do I sign? That is a trade where I think the Kings can make a lot of moves. But moving on, Garry, I'm going to swing it to you first. The Clippers extend Kawhi Leonard 3 years, $152.4 million. Kawhi Leonard's arguably having a career year, averaging 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. And the craziest stat I've seen in a couple of years, he has played 34 out of 37 games. So
same guy we're talking about?
Hey, man, the NBA said if you want some money, if you want all the NBA, you got to play some games. Kawhi said, all right, my needs are fine. I've been load managed for a couple of years. So, Garry, what were your thoughts on Kawhi getting an extension early? Because he could have got an extension later on in the season after a finals run or after a really good playoff run and got more money. So what were your initial thoughts to see that he extended really early into the season?
My first initial thoughts were when I seen this was it's good for both sides. Obviously, Kawhi gets some security with obviously having health problems and wanting to be a Clipper, and obviously show he still wants to be there. So that also relieves the pressure of the Clippers not worrying about the end of the season that, if things didn't go right this year, they could have looked at a team with no Paul George and no Kawhi Leonard in a way. Because still always got to get Paul George done. And obviously we all know James Harden, one of the reasons why he left Philly is because he said it himself, Who's forgetting the GM right now, the 76ers.
Daryl Morey.
Yeah, Daryl Morey. He said in China, Daryl Morey didn't want to play because basically in a way he basically lied about paying him. So obviously we know he kind of wants to get paid as well. So, again, there's 3 parts to this, but they got the first part done, and it's looking real good right now. And they're going to have a new arena next year, and you've seen how cool that's going to be. So they obviously want to have attractions like a superstar in Kawhi Leonard. And you know what? Kawhi Leonard deserves that. He showed this season that when he's healthy, he's still a top 10 player in this league, really. People haven't mentioned him that much, and maybe even knocking on the door top 5 when he's really, really healthy like he is right now. So his thing has never been a question about how great he is. It's just always been about his health, and that's what people always constantly knock on him. So that can be looking at his fault or not his fault. It depends how you look at it. And so I feel like this is a good thing for both teams. And now the next thing should be on the docket is to sign Mr. PG-13, who's been playing great in his own way too. So shout out to the Clippers, man. They figured it out. Ty Lue obviously is a good chef in that kitchen and got everyone on the same page. Their depth, they got obviously a lot of veterans. I'm trying to say, so they got a lot of veterans that are buying in as well. So they're a team that's hitting on all cylinders. The Lakers beat them somehow the other night, which obviously is super shocking because the Lakers have been on a downfall lately since the in-season tournament champion win. And yeah, the Clippers are hitting their stride. Hopefully they can keep continuing it because, this is good to see this from them, good sign from them. But obviously I think they would agree. They want to hit their stride a little more higher going towards the playoffs and after the All-Star break to hit to that next gear. So let's see where they land in about a couple months because we all know they're going to be graded on the playoffs, especially all the superstars they got because they're all trying to put a ring on. So
Tyler, I'm going to bring it to you next. Kawhi Leonard, 3-year, $152.4 million stays with the Los Angeles Clippers. What were your thoughts?
This is definitely a good sign for the Clippers. I think it's going to be a domino effect because right after we saw Woj tweet out and say, PG is basically next. He's working on trying to get, his extension. I think they're just trying to figure out, years, money, but it's more than likely that Paul George will also re-sign. And then after that, James Harden will likely re-sign. And that was kind of the goal for – go ahead.
Should wait on him. No, I would say they should wait on him, though. They going to should wait on – yeah, like I seen Doc Rivers on today and Bill Simmons' podcast I'll listen to real quick. They should wait on him in terms of what his production is going to be in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's how he should be. Nothing against James Harden. He's a great superstar. Top 10 scorer of all time, however you want to wrap it. Top 5 shooting guard of all time, you can say it too. But I think, real quick, not cut you off, I just feel like they're going to wait on him. I know the domino. I feel like that's going to be a last domino, which no knock on him. But I think you got to show up in the playoffs for this team, especially you just came to this team. So
I think it kind of comes down to where else are these guys going to go? I think all these guys are from LA, and I think it's kind of pivotal that they would like to stay in LA as well. Paul George, I don't believe he's going to leave. That's why I feel like with Kawhi Leonard signing first, it's going to be a domino effect of, okay, PG's going to re-sign. And then James Harden's going to be like, well, why not? We try to run this thing back a little bit and see where, things lead to. And right now the Clippers are currently sitting in 4th on a 3-game win streak. Westbrook. I just think, with the way how this team was currently constructed, you had it was Paul George, Westbrook, and Harden, and Kawhi. I don't think all these guys can start and be on the floor at the same time. So Ty Lue, we even saw with LeBron, he said at the end of that Clipper game, which I did lose money on, he was like, no, those are the Ty Lue Lakers or the Ty Lue Clippers. And he was like, once you figured out that, Ty Lue's going to figure out how to get those boys going, they've been on fire for the most part. And they've been on 3-game win streak since that loss that I did lose money on. But as far as for the Clippers, I think they can be one of the scariest teams in the West come to the playoffs when all these guys are healthy. They have 3 guys that could get a bucket pretty much whenever. And we all know that when the playoffs come around, the game itself slows down. And if you have a guy that can go get a bucket whenever, that's going to help you guys. That's going to help that team tremendously. And I think currently right now, I think Paul George and Kawhi are all stars. They've been playing like it. And then you have James Harden, who's like, I think he's averaging like 9 assists a game. So James Harden's kind of figuring out his role in this team and being like, all right, like I don't have to be a 25-point per game scorer, which I do still think he's capable of. I just think he's kind of taking a backseat to these guys who Paul George stated earlier in the year before the year. He's like on Call of Duty stream saying, I'm going to be on my bully ship this year. And I guess that's kind of what he's been on. I think we all believe that when Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are healthy, they're probably one of the best forwards in the league. And health has kind of been their shtick. they haven't really been able to stay healthy. One guy's either hurt or both of them are hurt, and Ty Lue's kind of assed out, and that's kind of what it's been. But currently, they've been, things are kind of on the up and up for them. And Garry mentioned that they're opening a new stadium, and what would it look like if they don't have any star players to, build that new stadium? And Kawhi Leonard is like, all right, for the next 3 years, this is going to be, Clipper Town, or it's going to be the Fun Guys Town, whatever the New Balance commercial was saying. Once he came fresh off of that championship from Toronto, and he was doing all the New Balance commercials.
Board man gets paid.
Yeah, board man is getting paid. So, the Clippers, right now, they've been playing lights out. So, I definitely watch out for them. I did see a little betting nugget here. I saw that the Clippers were they were minus 250 to win the Pacific Division, and the Kings they're 2 games behind the Clippers, but the Kings were like plus 300 to win the division. So that's something to kind of look out for.
That's easy money.
If you want to put some money on the Kings to maybe if the Clippers kind of fizzle out towards the end of the year, because right now the Kings really aren't looking as good as the Clippers are, so that's probably why Clippers are favored pretty heavily on the money line to win that division. So, Clippers extend Kawhi, and we'll probably hear an extension from Paul George like maybe next week. So,
yeah, and Toddy mentioned the Clippers have been playing really well. I have some numbers for you guys. So they have a 25.6 net rating, which is first in the NBA, 131.7 offensive rating, which is first in the NBA, 106 defensive rating, first in the NBA, 43% from three-point, first in the NBA, 65% true shooting, first in the NBA, 70% on the rim field goals, first in the NBA, 10.6 turnovers is the last in the NBA. So the best team would take care of the ball. So, you have to ask the question, can this be the best team in the NBA? So the Clippers are playing really well. So let's move it on to Utah, another team that's been playing very, very well this past couple of weeks. The Utah Jazz. Can they make the playoffs, or are they just yanking our tail, Toddy?
They've been playing like it. They've been playing really well. I did see a stat or something, not a stat. It was a report that basically everybody on the Jazz is for sale, even Lauri Markkanen. But I saw that you would have to trade your best piece to get him, which is probably not going to happen. But they're currently sitting at 11th, right behind the Lakers. I think they're actually tied for 10th, which is weird. So, can they make the play-in? Probably. I think it's just them getting Lauri Markkanen back and just pretty much getting healthy, and they've been rolling. They're currently rolling right now against the Raptors. I predicted them to win because I bet on them, and I thought that they were going to win, which they probably are. The Dallas Stars did not help us out. That's neither here nor there, but as far as the Jazz making the playoffs, I'm going to say no. I don't think they'll be able to make the playoffs. Play in? Yes. Maybe they might win a play-in game. Usually it's tough whenever they go, when people travel to Utah, it's usually harder to win there. The altitude usually plays a factor. We hear that from a bunch of NBA players. They're a really good team at home, I will say that. So currently on a 3-game win streak. Wouldn't be surprised if they push it to 4 tonight. But I think a lot of it has to do with Lauri Markkanen's play. And I'll give some love to JC, Jordan Clarkson, who's been playing pretty well. Would like to see what he would look like on a winning basketball team, because I feel like he's kind of the spark plug off of the bench who could come in and give you like 25 off of the bench, which is insane. Another sneaky guy that can definitely win Sixth Man of the Year. Not sure if he will. His numbers are up there for, Sixth Man of the Year, but he might not win it just based off of how good their team is. They usually like to give it off of a guy who has good numbers and is on a solid team, like a Malik Monk. But this Jazz team is, now they could prove me wrong, but I don't envision them making the playoffs, because I feel like they're gonna be sellers at the trade deadline. They might start giving up a bunch of guys like John Collins. Jordan Clarkson will probably be in there. Colin Sexton has been playing pretty well for this team too. So they might be able to move a couple of guys. So I don't know if this will be the same team that they have currently constructed. So I'm going to say no, the Jazz won't make the playoffs.
So, Garry, I'm going to swing it to you next. The Jazz are coming off a 3-game winning streak, beating the Nuggets, the Bucks, and the 76ers. Yes, the Bucks didn't have Dame, and the Sixers did not have Joel Embiid. But can they keep this momentum and ride it into the playoffs, Gary?
Yeah, but I mean, the Utah Jazz are one of those teams that are in the middle of the pack right now in terms of they're a hard team to face. Like Von mentioned, at home especially, I'm looking at it right now. They're they're 12-5 at home, 7-15 on the road, 8-2 the last 10, and they're one of the last 3 straight, like Kev mentioned. So they got a lot of great guys on this team that like Lauri Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, like Von mentioned as well. Colin Sexton has found his own. John Collins. I love the rookie Keontae George, and he comes in with like a plan. He comes in with the mentality of scoring. You could tell he's not scared. He really doesn't look like a rookie, so they might start need to hand him the keys more as well. And all depends, like Von mentioned, are they going to be sellers or buyers around the trade deadline? Obviously, they sell the good pieces. I think they'll be going down the route of being in the lottery and the draft pick, but they do have the talent if they keep it together. That they could be a scrappy fighting team. That coaching staff always has them fighting and being in a lot of these games, like you mentioned. And so I think they got a lot of guys who got a lot of individual talent who are making work together. So making like a solid top 6 for now. I feel like now the NBA when you say playoffs, I think top 6 now, and then 6 to 8, like my mom mentioned, playing. I can see them more being the playing just because it's so hard to gain. Like it does change a lot, the standings, don't get me wrong, obviously throughout the whole season. But now it's kind of more settling in now, like I mentioned, because we're about 35, 37, 38 games in now. So it's more starting to settle in of kind of where everyone's in, what pack you're going to kind of be in, I feel like, So they're in that range now where they're really with the Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, and the Rockets. Like that's 3 games. Anything, and the Phoenix Suns kind of, anything now that's like 4 or 5 games from Dallas. And, you're going to have to hope Dallas or like New Orleans, the Clippers, one of those top teams fall, and those guys are all humming like we all been mentioning. So I feel like they're going to be in that play-in range if they can stick the course. But, hey, that's all to be determined next week to see around the trade deadline here and see if they really keep it going. So let's see. I got some dollars
man. It's going to be hard to make the playoffs, but like Toddy mentioned, Jordan Clarkson is playing phenomenal. His last 5 games, averaging 21 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. Lauri Markkanen in his last 5, 26 points and 11 rebounds. So they got their 2 guys to rally behind. You mentioned Keontae George. And I'm surprised that we see a rebirth of Chris Dunn. A lot of you guys might have forgot about Chris Dunn out of Providence. Man, was a baller. Now he got into the right place, the right situation. They got a three-headed snake guard with him, Colin Sexton and Keontae George. They have the depth. They have Walker Kessler, who was first-team All-Rookie last year. So they're a couple pieces away from being a top play-in, play-off lock. But right now, I'm going to have to say yes because they've been playing well, and they're beating teams that are really good. So it's not like they're just kind of scraping by with the bad teams. So, Garry.
Colin Sexton currently has 20 points.
Baller.
He's been averaging 20 points the last 5 games. So
Baller.
Maybe he's boosting his draft stock. I'm not going to say, Cleveland, when he was there, had a 50-point game against those KD, Kyrie. A lot of people forget about how good Colin Sexton is. I'm just saying, you go to Utah, a lot of people forget about him. So might be somebody to look out for. Maybe trade deadline.
He's been on a comeback tour.
So I've never said he wasn't a hooper.
No. I'm not saying he wasn't, but I feel like other people have been calling him. And now, like kind of like I feel like gave up on him, especially after Cleveland. So I feel like he's been proving that he's still a scorer, dog mentality.
Young boy.
We saw at Alabama, and just continue to kind of carry him in the narrative. So, talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, Garry, I'm going to swing it to you next. Can the Cleveland Cavaliers become a contender? They are 4-0 this week, and they are missing all-star Darius Garland and young player Evan Mobley. So, can they continue this when they get back, or is they got to kind of hit another jam when they get back?
Remind me again, guys. Those guys are out for the season or only out for like 8 weeks? Are they on the comeback?
It should be ramping up in about the next week or two, but Garland broke his jaw, so I don't know what the recovery is for that. But, he doesn't have a brace on anymore, so I'm thinking he'll be overturned, but I can look that up for you.
I'm going to say, because that's going to be the key component here. Another question I think is, can the Cavaliers become a contender? I think when they got all those guys healthy, I feel like they're a contender. I feel like they shouldn't lean away maybe from the big ball lineup they got. I feel like Mobley does need a little more space to do his thing, and Jared Allen's obviously a great rim protector and does it great in his role as well. But the way the league's been moving, I feel like it's kind of been more height dominant. So if you have more Length on the floor, it's good. And I think their question is, do they believe in the Donovan Mitchell and Garland backcourt? And I believe, I don't know, I feel a lot of people talk negative about Donovan Mitchell all of a sudden since he's been on this Cavaliers team. And maybe because they've seen Garland flourish and they want him to, have the rock more and be able to be the number one option. But I just feel like if they go, those guys can handle that in the backcourt and they can really start using Mobley, and those three guys can really start working off each other. I feel like they can be real dangerous in the East. I just feel like maybe it's gonna be one of those things when you look back at it 5-6 years from now. You had a lot of young guys on a great team, just weren't ready mentally, maybe, or just weren't ready in the spots of their game. Because Garland still got a lot to prove, and Mobley got a lot to prove. And we always tend to look back, and only very few young teams like OKC are all coming together as one at the perfect time. It's really hard when you're young because everyone wants to make a name for themselves, and all these guys deserve that, and they feel that, and they want that. So it's kind of hard to find a buy-in. And I'm not saying they're not buying in, or I'm not assuming. I'm just assuming the way it looks like from the outside, like they're 22-15, 7 in the last 3 on a 4-game winning streak. They're still that, so they're stepping up when guys are out, which is great to see. But when they were all together, and last year they lost a very bad series, they shouldn't have beat the New York Knicks, and I think they would admit that too. And that was really a heartbreaking loss. That should have been a win for them. They should have been looking at the second round, now looking at this year being in that top 4. No one's really mentioning what the Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks, and the 76ers now, They're more mentioning even the Pacers before them. So I guess in my case, they feel like they're getting slept on, or really haven't proven or made enough noise to be in that conversation. So I think they need to take it upon themselves that they have enough talent there to really to make that next try to get in that conversation, or, again, this league moves a lot of different ways. So if you want to break it down and see what other combination you can make, I wouldn't blame them either, because they're a team, again, well, they're middle of the pack, but the talent they have really shouldn't be middle of the pack. You know what I'm saying? The way if they start using their guys to their each individual potential and then, become one. So that's my view on the Cleveland Cavaliers, to be honest. I feel like they can become a tender, but they're not just yet. If we're talking top-tier contender for a championship.
So to answer your question, Darius Garland will be reevaluated in 4 weeks, and Evan Mobley is expected to miss at least 2 more months. He had an ankle surgery. So they're going to be without Mobley for a while. But I've never really been a fan of the Twin Towers. On defense, it sounds great. But like you said, in that Knicks series, they're not guarding Evan Mobley on the 3. And if you don't have the modern 4 now is a stretch 4. And you put it on the ground, they can play make. We all thought Evan Mobley at USC was going to be the 7-foot, 3-level scorer, defensive monster, defensive anchor, but he really hasn't shown to be that. So I don't know if
he doesn't have the opportunity though. I'm not gonna lie, Caleb. They're putting him on this pick and roll situation.
I just don't. 2 big men, I don't think it could work. Just like with the example that Shaun loves to bring up with Sabonis and Miles Turner, they just got to collide. It messes up the spacing for 1, and 2, it just messes up everything. They can't switch 1 through 5. They have to switch 1 through 3, and then the 2 bigs to switch back and forth. So the Cleveland Cavaliers are right there.
You can do it. You just can't do it for long spurts. I feel like they're doing, because we've seen it. Remember in the bubble with the Lakers, with AD and Dwight, or McGee was in there last year. They have, obviously they have a big lineup in Denver as well. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Milwaukee got a big lineup. So I feel like the big man lineup works, Kevin. I don't say you're wrong. I just feel like it doesn't work when you're doing it as long as they're doing it. Like how much they do it, it becomes not like Gilbert Arenas, because I've been watching his podcast. It's hilarious. That's why. Not enough offense on the floor. Not enough offense on the floor to match the other side. So I think that's where the dilemma comes with. So I agree with you. I think it's maybe just too much, too long. What you think?
Donovan Mitchell on the streak has been averaging 28 points. Jared Allen's averaging 18 points and 15 rebounds a night. So the 2 of them are single-handedly carrying this team. Like I mentioned, they have stretch fours like George Niang that has been killing. I hope the Kings can continue to end the streak. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, but it's going to be interesting to kind of see how this thing plays out once Darius Garland gets there, because the narrative is Donovan Mitchell needs to be the lead guard. He can't really play with another lead guard. So to see them kind of get back together and kind of make this thing gel to be that 4th contender in the East and not be looked at as a 4B to the Pacers, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But Todd, can the Cleveland Cavaliers become a contender in the Eastern Conference?
I don't think the Cavs are a contender. Can they make the playoffs? Probably. Donovan Mitchell's pretty much been carrying his team on the stretch that you mentioned. He's been averaging about 28 points a game for the season, about 26. So it kind of just depends on when Garland comes back and kind of when they get Evan Mobley back because they think Evan Mobley can be, a star in this league. And Kevin mentioned that, the inability of him being able to shoot is going to be a problem because in the playoffs, guys are going to sag off of you. And, also what Garry was saying, if there's not enough offense on the floor, then they'll just key in on one guy, and that one guy has been Donovan Mitchell. Now, Mitchell can, carry the scoring load. We saw that in the playoffs. I think he had like a 40-point game in the playoffs against the Knicks, and I believe they lost that game. So, ultimately, I don't think Donovan Mitchell is going to stay on this team. Now, Garry mentioned the trade deadline is going to be eligible this coming up weekend. Guys can start to get traded. Now, I don't know if Mitchell's going to get traded quickly, but he hasn't signed an extension. So, in the front office for the Cleveland Cavaliers, in the back of their heads, they're like, all right, we're going to have to trade him.
Situation.
We're going to have
don't
to
get
trade
burned
him.
again.
The decision.
Work out.
We're going to have to trade him at some point. So, we can't,
do you know?
The LeBronologists had to, somehow figure out a way to bring in LeBron.
Anybody, KD,
I think it's just you can't let him walk for nothing because he hasn't signed an extension. Do you revisit that before the trade deadline or after the trade deadline? Because after the trade deadline goes, he doesn't sign an extension. It's like, okay, like what are we doing here? So you still try to get something.
Garland's injured
right now. This is his stock is high currently right now because Kevin already mentioned he's having 28 points a game. He's going to definitely be an all-star. So what point do you wait? What's the point on waiting? What he's been able to do with this team currently, because this team currently right now constructed is not I would say they're probably still a playoff team, but they're not viable in the playoffs. I feel like you would need a Garland out there for scoring, and Mobley have to create some type of, edge on the boards and a defensive prowess as well. Now they do have Jarrett Allen, but man, this Cleveland team should not be on a 4-game win streak right now. It's literally Donovan Mitchell and everybody else.
Literally.
And so I feel like the time is now if you want to try and get a trade for him. You're hearing that he wants to go to New York. I feel like if he gets traded in New York, he's signing an extension.
Dude,
but they didn't do their trades though.
It's a signing trade.
Didn't they lose their bullets already now with no OG?
No, there've been talks saying that.
I mean, they still have the picks. They still have the picks to trade. You know what I mean? But they trade the players for OG.
I even saw that. Randall was a guy that they've kind of been maybe shopping around. I don't know. I would try to figure out a way to be able to keep, obviously,
your big three. Anyone else can go.
Yeah, you would try to keep Brunson, you try to keep Randall, and you try to keep OG. Everybody else is kind of, you could fall in line, but I feel like the time is now if the Cavs want to try and get something for Donovan Mitchell and build for the future and kind of build around Garland, who is an all-star, and build around Evan Mobley.
He has a player option, though, Gary. He might not want to. Of course, he wants to. He might be like, bro, I'm good.
Yeah, okay. So I was about to say, if I'm them, I'll double down. Like this is, I think they haven't seen it long enough to say, "Oh, we're giving up on." That's what sucks about him being injured now, Garland and them, because now you really don't get to see it flourish. You got to wait till he comes back. Like Von mentioned, by that time it's be too late. So now you're gambling. So it's like, if I'm the front office, I'm trying to get this man signed. And if you want to get signed and trade, sure, but get signed. Get signed. That's the thing I think you should. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to sign an extension if you guys aren't serious about, trying to help me win. And then the Bucks front office was like, all right, let's go get Damian Lillard. And what did Giannis do? Sign that damn extension. So Shaun, what's up?
I'm going to swing it to you next. Who will finish as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference? So as it plays out right now, like I said before, this was this afternoon, so none of the games that happened today count into the record. We have the Timberwolves and the Nuggets tied for number 1 at 26-11. We have the Nuggets at second at 26-13. Clippers at 4 at 24-13. Kings at 5 at 23-14, and Pelicans at 6 with 23-15. So they're all literally 3 games apart. So who right now, January 12th, who will finish as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference here?
Me just guessing as a fan, just saying right here, looking at this right here, I think I'm going to put my money on OKC getting the number 1 seed. And I think the reason why I'm going OKC to get the number 1 seed. I would love for my Sacramento Kings to get the number 1 seed, only being 4 games back, looking at the standings right now. But, it's going to be pretty tough. Obviously, we're up and down team at the moment. Call it how you see it. So that's not really going to be in the wishes. So the real 4 teams I feel like really right. I mean, I guess Pelicans can get on a run, maybe good chase for, but like I think the 4 teams you mentioned, Minnesota, OKC, Denver, and Clippers. Now, Clippers, I just don't think they can get the 1 seed, which would be great for them, but I just don't feel like they're going to be prioritizing the 1 seed over rest towards the end of the year, so that's going to make them slip. Minnesota, they're 5-5 in the last 10. People are starting a little bit figure them out, but I still feel like, Anthony Edwards and them are still great. But I just have a feeling, and also Denver Nuggets, again, kind of like on the Clippers side of my thinking, where I just feel like they're going to be, we're the champions. We could do it home or away as long as, we're going to be the champions. We're all good here. We're going to, no matter, number 1 seed's not a high priority. We would love to get it, but it's not a high priority. I feel like the 2 young teams who are going to be battling out for the number 1 seed are going to be the Timberwolves and OKC if everyone stays healthy. And I think OKC will nip it, tuck it forward at the end because they're just a team that has a lot of energy night to night. They're playing hard every single possession. Not to say Timberwolves are not, but I just feel like they just got that it factor with them. Again, that's me not saying the Timberwolves don't. This is a team that's both young. They're both going neck and neck. They both got dogs on their team with Anthony Edwards and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going at it. So it's going to be a tough one. I'm just going to put my money on OKC just because I feel like there's going to be a little more clutch at the end to get that number 1 seed. And, man, OKC back and rocking for the playoffs like back in the day. You see when they had Kevin Durant, Westbrook, and Harden going crazy in those crowds. Were just kind of remember our Sacramento Kings crowds when we first spoke into the playoffs. So it's going to be a great scene to see when they get their home court advantage if they can keep it rolling. But we beat them twice though. They got the multiple losses to us Kings, so it's a good little jab we got on them.
All right, Toddy, I'm going to bring it to you next. Who will finish as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference today, January 12th?
I did foreshadow it kind of earlier in the show. OKC Thunder. I kind of gave a little spiel about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's like the 1 or 2 seed around that. Kind of going from playing. I think they missed the play-in last year, and we kind of were all thinking Chet Holmgren was going to play in that game. That would have been like his season or career debut, but he warmed up and it never really, fell through. But OKC they had a chance to win that game late in that play-in game last year, but kind of fell short. I think Shai has taken a gigantic leap. Last year, he was first team All-NBA. So that was kind of foreshadowing that he's probably like a top 8 player in the league already. And, currently right now they're sitting at second. So they're like a half a game behind the Wolves currently right now. I think they're a better team than the Wolves. So I would have to give the edge to OKC. My second team, who I'm gonna say the Clippers will get up there and contend for the number 1 seed as well, based off of how well Paul George, Kawhi, and James Harden been playing. Now in a 7-game series, if the Thunder and Clippers probably played against each other, I would lean towards the Clippers. But that's another story for another day. But as far as the regular season goes, I'm gonna say OKC will probably get to the number 1 seed just based off how well their team is playing. You got 3 guys, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who can score, kind of get their own shot. And they're all like under 25 years old, which is the scariest part. I think Chet's like 20 years old. Jalen Williams like 21. Shai's like 24. And Shai's, probably going to get a $400 million max contract when it's, his time kind of coming up. I think that's next year. He'll have all-stars, all-NBAs on that list, maybe even an MVP to add on his, very young resume. So
big bag.
The big bag will be coming very, very shortly too. So I don't know if the Clippers could have seen this coming from him, from what he was as a rookie in LA. Trying to just grow and develop as a young player. You saw a glimpse of it in that playoff run when they were playing against, the KD Warriors, and like they took him to 6 games. They're like, yeah, that guy can play a little bit. when it was Lou Williams, Montrez, and those guys on that team. I think Batum was on that team too, or something like that. But him getting traded to OKC and being able to play with Chris Paul very young, and I think even on that he's kind of been like around the playoffs a little bit. If you kind of think about his career, being in LA and then going to OKC, where he started to play with a Chris Paul. I kind of saw what it was like, earlier, but for him to kind of have his own team now and have those, those values kind of instilled in him, he's kind of molded it into an MVP like top 5-ish player in the league. And like I said, I think he's only 24 years old. So sky's the limit for this guy and the OKC Thunder team, who have how many picks it is, Kevin, in the next however many drafts? It's like
way too many.
50 picks, something like insane. So they got a lot of ammo. So if they want to go out and get a star player, they can, and just use a shit ton of picks on somebody. That is still very possible as well.
When I was typing this out and trying to figure out who I was going to go with, I think it's yes, you want to go OKC, but they're a young team. So they have 10 guys shooting over 40% from three. I don't know if that's going to really be able to stand still. We talked about Jalen Williams. He's going to be able to be a consistent third guy. So for my number one team in the Western Conference, I have to go to the Los Angeles Clippers. Just because we've seen nights where James Harden goes up for 35 points, 13 assists, and 9 rebounds. Then we see nights where he scores 9 points, 15 assists. And they're making sure that every night they're going through Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Russell Westbrook and James Harden are getting the scraps. Ivan Zubac is dominating. He is going in there night in, night out, and doing his thing, holding it down for them. They traded for the old Celtic. What's his name?
Daniel Tice.
Right, Daniel Tice, yes. He's coming in playing huge minutes, kind of playing the Mason Plumlee role from last season, or Miles, one of the Plumlee brothers. But just having that dominant bench, having a backup center that's going to be dominant. You have the scores. You have Russell Westbrook coming off the bench who can give you a triple-double at any moment. So, and they have a championship coach. So when it comes down to the number one seed, I looked at the Clippers, I looked at the Thunder, I looked at coaching. Who's been there before? Who knows what it looks like to be at the top of the mountaintop? And with that being said, it has to be the Los Angeles Clippers for me. So, Toddy, I'm actually going to bring this to you next. We're all Sacramento Kings fan, but Garry and I are Sacramento Kings fan. You're a Sacramento native. So, can the Pacers hang on without Tyrese Haliburton? He has a hamstring tear or a hamstring sprain, that he will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. They are currently the 4th seed. What game out of the 3rd seed? So, can they hang on, or are we going to see them kind of plummet towards the bottom?
They might dip a little bit. Haliburton was kind of the new PG that burst onto the scene for pretty much all the NBA, but I feel like the majority of us knew, actually everybody in Sacramento, Kings fans, that is, knew how good he actually was. He was probably going to have to get his own team at one point because the duo of De'Aaron Fox and Haliburton was too redundant, and usually both of those guys need the ball, just based off of how well these guys play. So he's kind of the driving force of that team now. Wow. Holding on. Can they remain in the top 8? I will say yes, but they will be hanging on by a thread. The thing is with this Pacers team, they do not play defense. They're going to give up 110 a night-ish, 120 a night. And, I mean, Haliburton didn't really help the defensive side of the ball, but just his presence alone, his averages, and him being an all-star candidate from, what we've already seen this year, can they win? Can they go like 500-ish? If they go 500, I think they would live and breathe for that and pray for that. But I feel like they might go a little under 500 in the time that Haliburton is gone, just because I feel like the offense runs through him and he's kind of the guy that gets everybody involved. His scoring as well, and kind of just makes the offense. He's the engine to the offense pretty much. And tonight they played against the Hawks, and the Hawks are god awful. They're even worse on defense than the Pacers, but I don't. We have to bring up their schedule. If Kev, you could bring up their schedule a little bit, and see what
the
what's
Pacers.
like. Yeah,
I got you.
So the next 10 games: the Hawks, the Nuggets, the Jazz, the Kings, Blazers, Suns, Nuggets, 76ers, Suns, and Grizzlies are the next 10 games.
See, I heard a lot of Suns, heard a lot of Nuggets. Kings are on there. I think he's gonna miss.
At home.
He's gonna miss that game probably. He'll probably.
Sucks.
He projects to miss all those games, so they're gonna have to play a lot of playoff teams.
It's gonna, yeah.
But they did beat the Celtics without him. I know Tiny, he didn't like that too much, but they did beat him without.
Got finesse, but it is what it is. But I think it's gonna be tough for them. I heard a lot of playoff teams on that list. Yeah, they're gonna fall out of. They might fall out of the top 8. Not gonna lie. Depends on how fast he can come back. If he could come back before 2 weeks, that would help. But if he's missing a full 2 weeks, that's like what, 10 games?
10 games.
They might go if they go like 3-7.
Dude, the only team I see them actually winning is
I'm gonna say
probably the Blazers.
I'm gonna say they go like 3-7. That's not good.
I mean, they can beat the Grizzlies. No,
They
Ja
can beat the
Morant.
Grizz. They can beat the I don't.
The Blazers and the Grizz probably.
They will be.
They might be able to miss the Hawks.
They will be underdogs in the majority of these games. They were underdogs tonight against the Hawks, so they're going to be underdogs in the majority of these games.
So, Garry, I'm going to swing it to you now. As a Sacramento Kings fan, one, just speak to the instant reaction that you had with Tyrese Haliburton going down, and secondly, do you think they can hang on to this 4 seed while he's down for 2 weeks?
I think they can hover. Mobile first to your first question. Hope Tyrese feels better. Obviously, love Tyrese Haliburton as a Sacramento Kings fan, and obviously he's been seen, like Von mentioned, the league take notice of his greatness already as a young age. It's really cool to see because, as you mentioned earlier, Von, seeing him here playing his rookie year and a year and a half, however long he played here, you can see those green flags of greatness all over him. So, it's cool to see that he can shine bright this year and help his Indiana team get on the map. And so I feel like them handling business tonight shows not obviously Atlanta Hawks are a team that's been on the downfall lately, but I feel like Rick Carlisle had this team playing right. Obviously everything goes through Tyrese, so they're going to be missing a lot of the guy who sets him up and scores a lot of the assists. So they're going to have obviously guys like Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, Bennett Mathurin, who's in his second year now, Bruce Brown, Obi Toppin, try to step forward in the scoring like they did tonight. Just it's really hard, like you mentioned, just control the pace and control the game how they've been controlling it. But, if they keep running and gunning, they can up the score and kind of keep doing what they do. I think they'll stay – they won't fall out completely. I don't really think, like Von mentioned, I don't think they're going to fall out totally out right now. Like they're 2 games ahead. No, they're tied with – they're in that all the way to 4 to 8 range. 2 games separate. So maybe they could drop to 8. But I don't think they're dropping out of the playoffs. I don't think they're dropping out of the play-in or anything like that. Now, if he misses a whole 2 months, anything crazy like that, then yeah, they're going to be dropping out of the playoffs for sure because you've seen it last year. Your superstars out. I believe they dropped last year too. I think they might not even make the playoffs after he got injured. So obviously a lot is on the young man's back. And they have a good team around him, but he's still the engine, and they know that. So hopefully they can keep it afloat for at least these 10 games. But it's going to be rough. The teams you mentioned, they got a lot of heavy hitter teams. But I guess one thing they can look at if you want to be a Pacers fan in a positive way, people are going to be sleeping on them. So they go, they can maybe catch people sleeping. Hopefully they don't catch my Kings sleeping when they come into town in about a week. So that's them, if you can catch some teams sleeping, you can get some W's, and all of a sudden it ain't looking too bad. So that's the main thing I think that's going to be awaiting this team if they can just keep it rolling. They're 9-1 in the last 10 games. Obviously, Tyrese played the bulk of that, and then a 3-game winning streak. So they can the ball is rolling. If they keep it rolling for a little bit more stretch, they can keep a flow and get their superstar back.
So I'm kind of looking at this how Todd looked at it. Your Tyrese Haliburton is arguably the best point guard in the NBA, averaging 25 points, 13 assists on 5 rebounds, shooting 65% true shooting. So he's doing it all. He is the engine to this team. Like Garry mentioned last year, we saw that they were in the playoff race, and then he got hurt for an extended amount of time, and then they fell out completely. So I think they're going to fall out completely. I'm hoping, as a Sacramento Kings fan, there's nothing more that I want to see than Tyrese Haliburton on the court. I was watching that game live, and I hit the group chat because I was just distraught. Like, seeing him go down like that is just horrible to see. Couldn't even walk himself off the court. He had to get carried off the court. So it's really hard to see him go down. And like Garry mentioned, we saw this early, with the games when Fox was out his rookie year. We saw that he can be a leader. He can be a point guard on a starting point guard and be an all-star, ABC, and he can do it all. So Tyrese Haliburton from the Stats Over Politics podcast, we are really hoping for you to come back. And we have 2 more topics on the show. This is episode 74 of Stats Over Politics. Kevin Dent stepping in for our man, Shaun. We have Toddy. We have Garry. So we're going to move on, Toddy. So last week we did our first NBA power rankings. So, Toddy, give me your power rankings from 10 to 5.
Okay, so we are I definitely had the Pacers at 10. I made this list just based off of everything kind of leading up before Tyrese ended up getting hurt, so that's why I kind of slipped them down to 10. But I feel like they're one of those teams that's probably going to be in or around it, but they'll probably end up falling out. I'm just basing everything up to what I've seen from the last power ranking that we had to now. So had the Pacers at 10. I'm gonna sneak the Mavs in there. Mavs at 9. Getting Kyrie back. Kyrie went berserk last night for 42 points. Something I definitely forgot to mention in this week in the NBA. But when Kyrie and Luka play together, I feel like they can definitely be a scary duo. So I'm gonna put the Mavs at 9. Another team I think I did not have in the previous power ranking that I had, putting the Cavs in there. Cavs have been playing pretty well. 4-game win streak. Donovan Mitchell has been averaging 28 points over the past 5 games, as Kevin mentioned earlier. Don't know how sustainable that will be for them, but the Cavs have been playing damn good basketball. And yeah, so got the Cavs at, what's that, 9? 8? 9. Tripping already.
No, wait, yeah, Pacers, Mavericks, so they're 8.
8. So what are we at? 7.
7
currently. I'm gonna put the Knicks in there. Knicks been playing pretty well. They did lose to the Mavs last night, but they were on like a 3-game win streak from when OG Anunoby, or basically when OG Anunoby touched down, they were pretty much undefeated. So I think that was probably just kind of a one-off last week, and they kind of just met their match on the road, tough spot, playing a solid team in Dallas. So I'm gonna put the Knicks here at 7. So 6. We're moving on to number 6. I'm gonna put. This is tough. I'll put the Pels in there.
Okay. New addition to power rankings.
Pels have been playing all right. They're getting smacked right now by the Nuggets, so that's kind of foretelling. So Pelicans, I think when Zion, post in-season tournament, they've been playing pretty well. Their guys have been healthy for the most part, so I think when all their guys are going, you had CJ who had 30 last Sunday against the Kings, and he was like, hey, yeah, the Kings told me that they were going to draft me, and they brought me in for a second workout. He was like, I remember that every time that we play against them. So
and we took Jimmer for that.
Yeah, Jimmer for that. So Kings fans kicking themselves. So 6, we're going to go with the Pels. So moving in kind of to the top 5. So this is where it kind of gets tough. I always feel like I leave people out.
We just need 10 to 5. We'll do top 5 after.
Okay. 5, I'm going to go with the Clippers. Clippers have been playing out of their ass. James Harden, Kawhi, obviously, and Paul George, and we saw that Kawhi Leonard, he just signed his extension, as we already talked about earlier in the show. So Clippers could definitely move into that number 1 spot within the incoming weeks for the power rankings, but I do have the Clippers at 5.
All right, so at 10 for me, I have the New Orleans Pelicans. Like Toddy mentioned, we're seeing them healthy. We're seeing CJ McCollum, Zion Williamson, and Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones. They got Trey Murphy back. Jose Alvarado's coming back. So this team's finally getting healthy. So we're looking at the team that we thought they were going to be. You know, when you put Zion Williamson out there, you're expecting him to be an All-NBA player. Brandon Ingram's coming. He's been an All-Star before. CJ McCollum's a proven veteran in this league who can put the ball in the basket. So as long as they can stay healthy, this team is going to be a contender in the Western Conference. At 9, I have a tie. I didn't know if I wanted to go the Mavericks or the Knicks. So, unfortunately, the Mavericks did not make my top 10. So, at 9, I had to go with the Knicks. Like Toddy mentioned, as soon as OG touched down, I went to a different level. You know, they really, like Toddy mentioned when we talked about the trade originally, they just wanted that true defender on the wing. And once they get Mitchell Robinson back, I think the Knicks are going to be a hell of a team. We see that they have Hardenstein, I can't remember his first name, but he's really coming out there and holding it down for Mitchell Robinson. So once they get Mitchell Robinson back, I think this Knicks team is going to be a hell of a team. Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, the big three is one of the best, and they're still active in the trade market. They have all those picks, so I don't think the Knicks are done. So right now I have them at 8. At 7, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. The only reason they dropped for me is because Joel Embiid has been playing, so they've been dropping occasional game every here and there. But I'm still a huge fan of Tyrese Maxey. I think he can lead this team, but I just don't know how far he can lead them without Joel Embiid. I definitely think he's a better 2 than he is a 1. At 6, I have the Denver Nuggets, and they fell in my ranking. Just losing to the Utah Jazz in the fashion that they did. Jamal Murray slowly getting back to it, but I think they need to make a move. I think they're kind of coasting off of what they did last year. Michael Porter Jr. is taking a huge step back. Aaron Gordon's taking a huge step back. Jamal Murray is consistently in and out of games with the lineup. So the Joker's out there really throwing the ball to Julian Strawther, Christian Braun, Peyton Watson. So it's really a bunch of unknown guys there. But when you're winning so many games, when you're winning championships, you're not going to have a high pick. So you have to hit on these picks. So I think they need to make a move, or they're kind of just going to be stagnant within the Western Conference. And at 5, I have the Los Angeles Clippers. We talked about them earlier in the show. They have their own individual segment showing them love. But this Clippers team is scary. They're doing it on both ends. And like I said, there's nights where James Harden can go and be your leading scorer, and there's times where he can score 8 points and have 15 assists. So that is my 10-5. So, Toddy, who are your top 4 teams?
4, we had the Minnesota Timberwolves. I feel like they're kind of taking a dip in the past week, dropping a couple games a little bit. So I do think that they're capable of being one of the best teams in the league, as they are the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Anthony Edwards is playing at all-star caliber level. Karl Anthony Towns is not getting enough love.
Now you're on that bandwagon. I remember last year the topic about that. Y'all was shitting on my guy, Cat. I remember that one. Anyways,
Cat played like 10 games last year.
I was betting on you, man.
And Rudy Gobert has been the anchor that he is. So one of the top defensive teams in the league for sure. And I feel like if Anthony Edwards is going on any given night, they could be tough to beat. So 4, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. 3, we have the Denver Nuggets. I think I had them at 2.
You said what was number 1? Who was 2?
So I went 4, and then 3 is Denver. Denver.
4, okay.
So I think Jokic, they kind of went on the skid. Their last game didn't look too high. Right now, they're currently up by like 20 points against the Nuggets. So bouncing back currently from that loss, but I feel like it's kind of just Jamal Murray and basically the Jokic show from those guys, and they can get a little bit more from Michael Porter Jr. Shooting wise. They can be one of the most lethal teams in the league. But so with that being said, the Nuggets 3. Have the Celtics at 2. Celtics were currently shellacked by the Bucks a night ago. And I think that they're definitely going to be one of those teams to beat for sure. I think it's going to kind of just come down to, can these guys – I think it kind of just came down to just them being tired and them coming off a back-to-back, a win in overtime over the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think it was the night before, and then having to go on the road and play, a tough Bucks team. They're going to be one of those teams that can definitely you're going to have to get up for. And they certainly did not, and they pulled their starters at halftime. So, where am I at? 2? That was 2 for me.
That was 2. So go ahead and tell us. Back-to-back weeks.
OKC Thunder. I have number 1. Damn, I'm missing the Bucks. Somebody's got to come off this list.
You have the Celtics at 2?
Yeah. I had the Celtics at 2. I had the Celtics at 2.
I'm just trying to write your list down. I think I messed up somewhere anyways.
So run through your top 10 again, Toddy.
It was the Pacers.
Go from 1 to 10 real quick.
So the Celtics.
All right, Celtics 1.
Celtics 1. I had OKC 1, Celtics 2, Denver 3, Timberwolves 4. I had the Clippers 5, and then 6 I had the Knicks, 7 was the Mavs, 8 was the wow, that's crazy. 8 was
the Knicks?
What'd you say?
Was 8 the Knicks or was 9 or was 8? It was one of the Mavericks to the Knicks, yeah. Wasn't that?
8 was the Cavs.
Oh, you did have the Cavs on.
Cavs. 9 was the freaking 9 was the MF and the wow. Pelicans were in there.
Yeah.
He's like, damn,
I'm gonna tell you who number 1 is real quick before I bounce out here real quick, guys.
Yeah.
OKC is not number 1, my guy. Come on, we gotta rock with the Nuggets. They still the champions, Kev. You gotta rock. I know we're repowering by week by week. It's January, but man, oh man, if we just tip the ball, it's fluid doing that. All right, if we tip the ball right now for a playoff, I'm taking Denver because I still don't see no one really stopping them in the West or the East, to be honest with you. But I just want to say that real quick. I gotta head out, you guys, real quick. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you, brother.
Again. Yeah, I'm gonna catch you guys next week on Monday. Go Steelers! We about to whoop the Bills' asses. Speaking on an upset, so again, take that spread. I seen it actually a lot of bettors this week. Little sharps they be saying, trying to say take this point spread. So I don't know what they're saying around here, but I don't know. They're sleeping. Anyways, Minka's back. I think Minka's back too, Vaughn. Just for you, Minka's back.
No T data.
We might be still late. Hold on, kid. Hold on. Let me finish my speech, man. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all. Enjoy your weekend.
Yes, sir, fella.
Let's see. That's our politics, baby. Appreciate y'all. Yep.
So, my top 4. I have at 4, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. At 3, I have the Bucks. At 2, I have the Celtics. And at 1, I have the Thunder. Toddy kind of saw my top 4. He explained it very well. The Thunder are arguably the best team in the NBA right now. They're just continuing to show that their youth is showing, and they're good. You know, they're a team that's going to run you up and down the court. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to hit you with a shoulder bump, mid-range fade, and it's going in. Arguably the MVP of the year, or MVP of the season, excuse me. So I think the Thunder can really make some shit shake. So we'll see what the power rankings look like next week. But I'm happy to see that Ty was an honest analysis and said the Celtics dropped to 2. I know it was hard for him. It was hard for me to take the Kings out of my top 10. So I know how hard it was to take them out of the top 2. So last topic here on episode 74 of Stats Over Politics. Everybody get your sports bet books open, DraftKings, whatever you bet on. Get it out because we have Vonny's hotline and he's just handing out free money, Toddy. So tell us what to bet for this weekend.
Okay, guys. It is Wild Card Weekend. So we're going to go heavy on the football. But we're going to start off with a little bit of college basketball. Tomorrow. Kentucky is traveling to Texas A&M, and they are dogs. The line is currently not out for the money line on what Kentucky was. Last week, Kentucky and North Carolina were dogs, and I bet both of them on the road, and they won outright on both games. Kentucky did go down to the wire with Florida, I believe it was, and they kind of came down to a free throw shooting contest with Reed Shepherd, who's like shooting 90% from the free throw line for the Kentucky Wildcats. But I just think they have the most talent. They have one of the better talents in the league. Aaron Bradshaw has been playing like one of the best players in the country. You also have Rob Dillingham on the bench, who's been averaging about like 14 points a game. Yeah, 14 points a game. And then I just think their team is just too talented. This A&M team has been up and down. They started off hot early in the year. We're winning a bunch of tournament games, but kind of getting into league play, they haven't really fanned out that well. So I'm definitely going to take it. So right now the pick is Kentucky +2, but if you want to take them on the money line, I would not be mad at that at all. So that's college basketball. Wild card weekend. We got the Browns traveling to Houston.
Mr. Coleridge Bernard.
Coleridge Bernard, who is a top 8 quarterback, as I have stated on the podcast. If they make the playoffs, he is a top 8 quarterback, hands down. Now, a lot of people are really high on Joe Flacco and the Browns defense. Statistically, the Browns defense isn't that good on the road, I noticed. But there is a stat I saw. Joe Flacco's I think he's straight up. He's 5-0. Gambling wise, that's going back to 2012 when he was playing. When he had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and all those guys. Hall of Famers were on that Ravens team. None of those guys are walking through that door. Obviously, this Browns team has been this defense has been stifling. One of the better defenses in the league. I think one of the defensive player of the league candidates, and Myles Garrett. But Joe Flacco hasn't really been as good as I think he's thrown a pick a game in most of the games that he's played in. CJ Stroud, man, for this team to be in the gutter literally a year ago, if you would have told me, yeah, the Texans are going to make the playoffs and win their division, you would have laughed at me. The way how D'Amico Ryans kind of come in and, change the scenery and basically the dark cloud, I guess, of what Deshaun Watson was that was hanging over them and just how bad of a franchise they were. Davis Mills was the quarterback for them last year. And, Kev won some money on Davis Mills last year. But that was neither here nor there. And they moved on and drafted a guy by the name of Coleridge Bernard Jr., as Kevin would like to call him, also known as CJ Stroud. I have a lot of love and respect for CJ Stroud. I want to know why? Because he's the first person I ever gambled on, and that was my first bet ever. And Coleridge Bernard Jr. won your boy some money when he made his season debut, career debut at Ohio State against Oregon. I don't know if you guys remember that game. Bet on him to hit whatever his over was. It was 230 yards, and he went for 400 yards. It was he set all the freshman records or whatever it was. And I was I know this guy, he's going to be him. And he's proven to definitely be that. Him being the offensive rookie of the year, in my opinion. And I would believe pretty much everybody who's not a Rams fan thinks CJ Stroud's going to win offensive rookie of the year. I think this is kind of the anomaly. Usually betting for a rookie quarterback making his first start. Odds are usually stacked against you. But he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and I feel like if you're betting on him, it's going to be magical. And the Texans are home dogs in this game. I'm seeing it's high as +115 currently right now. So rocking with the Texans money line here. Gotta rock with the Texans money line at home. Crowd's gonna be rocking. This is their first playoff game since I believe it was Deshaun Watson was the last time they went to the playoffs, pretty much. So I think CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryan, they get it done. And shock a lot of people, I guess, because they are dogs at home. Most of the money is on the Browns. The line has moved already. It was at 2.5, but now I'm seeing 2 right now that the Browns are favored by. So Texans money line, second pick. We're moving on to the next game that day, which will be the night game. I think it's on CBS. Or NBC, I'm not sure. I think it's on CBS, if I'm not mistaken. But it's the Miami Dolphins are traveling to Kansas City. This game is currently set at actually, this game is on Peacock. This is the Peacock game that old men are screaming at clouds for. The Texans game is the NBC game. So I already had Peacock. So just, guys, not that hard. Just sign up for it. You can do a free trial. I know it's going to, hurt everyone's brains that I can't sign up for So Kazzy Bear TV, our boy Kaz, he came on the show, on the Monday show, and was like, hey, man, there's supposed to be a blizzard. There's a storm. He lives in Iowa, and he said Kansas City's not too far from him. He said that there was going to be, a storm blizzard warning. It's going to be insane. Negative 30 wind chills, what I'm seeing. So, I mean, it was pretty much a match made in heaven for me to pick the under in this game is the play. Under 30, 43 and a half is what the under is looking like. You could lean KC spread, but I'm just thinking the weather's going to play a role. Kansas City wasn't really able to score in recent memory. We've seen them be pretty much a high-powered offense, having a Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and just weapons all over the place. Patrick Mahomes was just throwing for 300 yards at will for the most part. And I think the weather is definitely – the snow game is definitely – the weather is going to play a huge role into this. Tua, I saw – not very good in cold weather. I got from Honolulu in Hawaii. So not really used to seeing snow. Playing in the snow, the Dolphins are I think it was 0 and whatever it was. Dolphins not very good in cold weather games. It's going to be hard to be able to get Tyreek Hill involved. And I feel like he's a very, very huge chunk of their offense. Now they are getting Jalen Waddle back, Raheem Mostert back. So I think we'll see a lot of the Dolphins trying to get Raheem Mostert involved early, so he might see a lot of touches, which will definitely eat the clock up a little bit. I think we'll see Isaiah Pacheco get a lot of touches on the ground, basically for both teams. So I don't really see a lot of scoring happening in this game because of the weather and how cold it's going to be and how hard it will be for both teams to be able to move the ball up and down the field. So we're going to rock with the under 43.5 for the Dolphins and Chiefs game. Moving on to the next day, we're staying away from the Steelers-Bills game because, I don't know, it's just super weird. Packers are traveling to Dallas. Khalil Austin, friend of the show, huge Packers fan, hasn't really been too high on the Packers up until I'd say the home stretch of the season. He's been, saying, Jaden Reed has been a baller. Jordan Love's looked like the franchise guy. And, the Cowboys haven't really beaten a lot of teams over 500 this year. And the Cowboys are currently favored. Basically the entire week they're favored. The line was 7.5, and the Cowboys were, the overwhelming favorite for the entire game. I think the Packers, I don't know if they win, but I do think the line is currently now 7. I'm going to take the Packers +7 in this game. I think Jordan Love is going to give the Packers a run for their money. Not saying they're going to come out and outright win, but I do believe they will give the Cowboys a run for their money. I don't know if the score will be similar, but I think it'll be similar to kind of what that Lions-Cowboys game was early in the year. The whole fiasco going for 2 at the end was kind of crazy, and how that outcome of that game was. But I'm gonna rock with Jordan. It's tough because rookie QB. He technically is a rookie. He's not really a rookie, but first full year playing football in the NFL, starting on the road. Odds aren't really into his favor, but usually the Cowboys are really good at home. But I think the Packers defense has been playing pretty solid, and I think just the plethora of young receivers that they have been playing well has been surprising for the most part. I'm not too sure if Christian Watson is playing in this game, but Khalil was telling me that they don't need Christian Watson. They got Jaden.
They got Wick.
Yeah. They were they have whatever Wick was his name. Aaron Jones has been the workhorse.
Romeo Dobbs, Jalen Reed.
So I was like, okay. I was like, all right, man. But I do think the matchup between Jair Alexander and CeeDee Lamb will be worth a watch. So that is the 1:30 Fox game. So it's like an afternoon game on Sunday. Next game we're moving on to is the Rams are traveling to Detroit. Rams are 3-point dogs. The Lions are favored by 3 points at home. This is the Matthew Stafford returning to Detroit game. I think he's been to the playoffs with Detroit twice and lost both of those games. So it's been a while since Lions fans were able to see, playoff football. And I'm rolling with the Rams here. I'm taking the Rams straight up. I have them at plus 155 is what I'm seeing currently. McVay, Super Bowl winning coach. Stafford, Super Bowl quarterback. I think they have the experience that's been there, and I feel like the offense, the scheme that we'll see from Sean McVay is going to be a masterclass, and I feel like he has the coaching advantage in this particular situation. Who's going to cover Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua? I'm not sure. That's going to be a field day. Earlier in the year, we saw the shootout that they kind of went into with the Chargers, and Justin Herbert threw for like 400 yards, and the score was like 41-40. Campbell knew that their defense was going to be able to hold out at the end, and so I think they had to go for 2 or something like that. They ended up getting it. So I think it'll be a high-scoring game, but I do see the Rams being able to, kind of contain Jared Goff and limit him on. They won't be able to stop them outright. I feel like they'll be able to get timely stops, and it's going to show up on Sunday. So I do like the Rams on the road here. I just feel like the weapons that they have are better than the Lions. I did see that Sam Laporta practiced today and was a full go. So it looks like he's probably going to play on Sunday. Don't know how much healthy he will be. Maybe he might just be a decoy. Yeah, he might just be a decoy for the Lions, but all signs are pointing to him playing on Sunday. So I do still like Rams money line here as a dog. So they'll one of the few dogs winning road teams that I have winning. The last game.
Let's get to the game. Here we go.
God help me. Eagles are traveling to the NFC South champions in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kevin and I always mention the group chat, and we went back and forth on Jalen Hurts saying that he did not throw. I think it was Thursday.
No, you went back and forth.
No. I said that Jalen Hurts did not throw because he came out and said, yeah, I haven't thrown since, the game on Sunday. I'm like, hey, Kev, it's not a good thing. And then Kevin gave us the video. Like, hey, guys, here's a video of Jalen Hurts throwing. You guys have a nice day. He can throw
not hey, guys. Hey, Todd. I said, Toddy, so just a little bit of insight before Toddy continues. I let him know, NFL teams don't practice on Mondays and Tuesdays. We have a Monday game, so we can practice till Thursday. So why is he going to throw? Just you going to play catch? No. He's going to go quarterback, $250 million. You better sit your ass home and rest.
So, it's hard. And Baker Mayfield has been beaten up. The Eagles did beat Tampa Bay early in the year on Monday Night Football.
Week 3.
And yeah, it was week 3. A thing I did not like to see, or that I saw that I didn't like, was AJ Brown didn't practice. That is definitely
something will not practice
for
once this week.
Yeah. I think he's gonna play because I saw a report he took a whole bunch of shit off of his Instagram. He hosted a players only meeting or something like that. So I would imagine he's gonna play in this game. It'll just he's gonna push it all the way up to basically the last minute, and it'll be like a game time thing for him. But I feel like he's probably going to play.
He's gonna play.
Yeah. Getting Darius Slay back. I just don't see Tampa Bay being able to move the ball. They were only able to put up 9 points against the Panthers last week. So that's kind of telling you how good this team kind of is. Now, I did see something that Baker Mayfield isn't 100%. He's kind of banged up. He has a rib injury or something like that. So Eagles D-line are going to do everything in their power to get home. Eagles are crawling, not even limping into the playoffs. They're crawling into the playoffs. They need this win worse than anybody in the playoffs, I think. So desperation time for basically both teams, in my opinion. I think the Eagles are better. So I am praying to God that the Eagles, I'm not even going to take them with the points. That's how much little faith I have in this team. All they got to do is get the victory. Don't know how healthy Jalen Hurts is, but I feel like he'll figure a way out to come out on top. They need to use DeAndre Swift in the run game a little bit more. I feel like he's kind of been out of, not really a part of the offense because they've been trailing. They've been losing a lot of games, so they can't really run the ball. They just have to throw the ball as much as possible. But I feel like a focal point for this team is they got to get DeAndre Swift involved. So we're going to take Eagles money line.
It's the best bet you said all day, Toddy. Best bet you said all day.
Oh, Kev, to kind of review what the hotline is for the weekend, we have Texans money line plus 120 or plus 115. We have Kentucky plus 2, but I'll probably end up betting the money line on that game because the line isn't currently out. We have Chiefs Dolphins under 35 or 43.5. Weather is going to play a huge factor into that. We have the Packers plus 7 against the Cowboys. I think they'll end up covering the spread. Game's going to be a lot closer than needed. We have the Rams money line going on the road. This is the only road team I have winning in the playoffs this year or this weekend. I think Matthew Stafford and McVay are probably going to get the game done. A lot of people kind of consider that game a pick'em, being how close the matchups kind of are, but the line's plus, I'm seeing plus 155 currently for the Rams. And then last but not least, we have the Eagles money line beating Tampa Bay on the road. I just don't think Tampa Bay is that good. And I feel like the Eagles, like I said, were crawling into the playoffs. They're not really that good either, but I feel like the least worst of the two teams is the Eagles. So I have the Eagles money line over the Tampa Bay Bucks. So hotline's currently 23-13. Pray for us. And looking for a 4-2, like 5-1-ish, feeling like it's that type of weekend, guys.
There we go. And that concludes episode 74. That's Over Politics. Please leave us a like. Give us a retweet. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or X, TikTok. All of our chats are Stats Over Politics except Twitter or X. Damn it. Because the character counts, so it's Stats or Politics. But we are nothing without you guys, and we appreciate all of you guys that have tuned in. Monday's episode is going to be an interesting episode. There will be no more Steelers talk on Monday. So one team down. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see, as the playoffs go on and all of our favorite teams fall off, like the Niners will. But, it's interesting.
Are we going to get an AJ Brown meme?
Oh, no, man. I already got a meme cooking. Man. That was regular season. It's a whole new ball game, whole new memes, and we are ready to play, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll see you guys on Monday at 8:30 following the Eagles game. And no matter what, you guys are going to want to tune in and hear what Kevin didn't have to say because there's been a lot of disrespect. And the Eagles are here. You know why? Because I fucking believe. That's why. I believe. Like Dion says, I believe. Now play my damn theme music. Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Kevin Dent and Jaevon and signing off. See you guys next week for episode 75. On Wild Card Weekend, we were having a debate if Monday's a weekend, but we'll leave that in the group chat. So we will see you guys here on Monday. You guys have a great rest of your night. And like you said, Ty's giving out free money, so make sure you place those bets. See you guys on Monday.